Okay, so the story so far in the fourth era. The first video of this era, second video of this era, was way too long, I'm sure. So, what happened? Well, I think the big thing is these revolutionary, well, there's two big things. One is there was a war that was started against Turkey to try to drag them down. They had too big a lead. You can see now Austria is catching up to them and is in better shape overall. Basically, Austria, Poland, and Spain ganged up on Turkey. Poland was able to use their spy network over here to finally do some good. It is very powerful to screw with someone just before you go to war with them, or while you're at war with them, or whatever, in terms of raising a lot of unrest. I don't know about the other capabilities, but now I have a use for that card. I've always avoided it because it felt like, yeah, I'm spending cubes to screw with someone else, and it may not be worth it just in a normal military situation, but there were cards out there that made life a lot worse. And the net effect was Turkey ended up with like all their troops exhausted and they can't recover them quickly enough. So even going into this turn, they're going to have too few troops. All three of Poland, Austria, and Spain won their wars, and Poland ended up getting Wallachia and Bulgaria. Austria ended up taking Dalmatia, and Spain took part of Naples. They didn't have enough cubes to do anything else. And part of that is there was so much disruption and unrest, and there were cards that, you know, look like they belong right before the French Revolution, to tell you the truth. But they affect everyone who didn't have certain government types. Did they end up in the wrong place? I'm actually wondering about that. Did I put it in the wrong place? So this is a 1. This is in the right place. Decline of the Ancient Regime is a 1. I don't know how much worse the second half of the deck is going to be in terms of this kind of chaos. In addition to that, we have the revolutionary ideology, really, which is an overlay of religion. It negates religion, essentially, but if it goes away, it is... there's a religion there. And that has spread in two places. Spain, some of it coming from North Africa, and in Turkey. So instead of, I don't know, I'm trying, instead of Locke and Rousseau, we have Raoul and, I don't know, Lhasa. That's not Turkish, so I have no idea. I'm trying to think of something that would fit, but anyway. It does create a very interesting situation in terms of just this massive, like, handcuffing of these of those two countries, but almost every country has been massively handcuffed because their cube streams. I finally started optimizing cubes, and everybody lost all their advisors, so they had to play out new advisors. And, well, Poland's in an interregnum, which got rid of all their advisors as well. You can see they're just in the shitter. But a point that I brought up in that overlong video is that if you take away cubes, you take away the fat that's necessary to fight wars, as far as I can tell in this game. Or the fat that's necessary to be able to colonize. So throughout the game, I've been short on resources, mainly because I haven't, you know, absolutely been able, throughout most of the game, I was not able to optimize my cubes well. I wasn't able to really get a good grasp on, hey, this is the engine that you need for this Euro to work, because that's how I view something with cubes that you're trying to create a little engine on, right? And, you know, it involves hey, your cards that have advisors, they're really, really important to get into the advisor slots. If you don't have advisors, you're not playing the game right. Well, last turn wiped those out. And interesting enough, it happens when the 7 Years' War is going to actually trigger. I also made some observations. You know, I'm not giving you as much about the story of the game here, right? Because not a hell of a lot happened because of all the chaos. The chaos is part of it. The wars were part of it. Oh, England grabbed Scotland, formed Great Britain. But the amount of chaos that's generated creates problems that are another resource drain, because if there's a lot of unrest, you're going to have to expend, you know, your cubes to deal with the unrest, or else you end up in this death spiral, right? But the real point is that historically, this kind of chaos came with it and generated wars. And we're going to have to see what the bottom half of this deck looks like and what it does. Maybe it has some neat surprises in for me. But right now, my analysis is it's going to be very, very peaceful during the Napoleonic peace, because everything is going to be so chaotic before that that you're not able to go to war anymore. Nobody's able to. Everybody's going to be busy trying to save their country. Now, if you consider, you know, the situation in, say, I don't know, La Révolution Française, which does a job of demonstrating, you know, what that chaos was like. In some ways, first of all, the chaos within France generated a massive effect, which was not necessarily as negative as these unrests are, because the country was different. Now, you could say it's much, much worse because, look, they were guillotining people by the thousands. Yeah, there's that. But in terms of, like, a national impetus to do more, it actually probably hiked that up rather than depressing it. So I don't know what's going to happen, right? You know, you would think there would be lots of unrest all over the board, at least in a country that's undergoing a revolution, but it almost like it changed the nature of warfare, essentially, right? The fact that they couldn't fight, that they couldn't put out the, you know, sort of linear formations and everything. But you add to that some technical improvements that they made to the artillery and to some of the tactical systems. And I don't know. Anyway, certainly France came out of it very dynamic. And even during the worst part of the revolution, they were capable of beating back an attack by all of Europe, basically. All of Europe was horrified by this idea that, like, the people had seized control. They didn't really care about the killings. That would be, oh, what a shame if it had been a Bourbon king killing off his subjects. No, it was, oh my God, they're toppling, you know, the concept of monarchy itself, and they're trying to export this, and that's really kind of like this. A couple of other things that I noted, well, one is that this revolutionary ideal seems to be hitting too early. Like, sure, the philosophers existed already, right? They existed in the period of time that was covered in the last quarter deck or whatever. So we're going into the third quarter deck, which means we're getting into the French Revolution period here, right? If this is the third deck, I think it's the second deck. No, this is the second deck. Yeah, third video, second deck. Okay, so we're not there. We're getting into the American Revolution period, say, and the 7 Years' War. Okay, so yeah. There were not these kind of massive chaos infractions going on in the countries that were most impacted by nationalistic impulses. Now, you might be able to argue Poland suffered something akin to this, but it had nothing to do with revolutionary ideals. It had nothing to do with nationalism, which is what I kind of see this as being. It had to do with the fact that the old feudal system in Poland had gained too much power, and the king, had basically none, and that is why Poland collapses, right? It gets eaten. So it's not revolutionary. It's, if anything, reactionary motions there. Concepts like, well, the Sejm has to be entirely unanimous for it to do anything. Okay, well, Russia plants a couple of their allies in it, and yeah, Poland won't defend itself. I mean, what? On top of that, I came to the conclusion that the military operations in this game are very, very abstracted. And when you see troops in a particular area and moving in to fight each other, it's, you feel like, well, maybe it's at the level of abstraction of like an Axis and Allies or something, where they're in that area and they're fighting. I don't think that's the case. I think in that area just means they're somewhere along that theater. And so like the Napoleonic Wars might end up all happening in a couple of little battles over here. But that represents everything, including, up to and into Russia, and then the sweep back and everything. Which, is, to me, not sufficient. I don't think that this game system, as designed, can handle the idea of a sweeping attack crossing Europe. We saw it in the 30 Years' War, where the whole damn war was just Austria take Saxony. So there's all kinds of stuff that's been abstracted away to the degree that, like, it just doesn't even exist in the game. Now, that's fine if it's not stuff that looks like it's being represented, but it looks like they're representing military maneuvers and whatnot. They're not. They're not. They're representing what the end state after the war ends up being. And that's, to me, that's a shame. That makes the game lose a lot of what I was hoping for from it. And if you play the computer game, or if you play the old EU, there's none of that abstraction, right? You're moving the forces around. They make it to the locations they're supposed to make it to. If you wanted to invade Russia, it doesn't get fought out here between, a couple of armies. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's all kind of magical changes to this underlying system that'll happen because of some of the later cards. But so far, the game has failed completely to represent the military operations at all. And to me, EU, whether the board game or the computer game of the, prior to this, was maybe not first and foremost a war game, but it certainly contained a real war game. You look at the scenarios in the original EU, and all the non-campaign scenarios are these little military campaigns. There'll be something like a 7 Years' War scenario, and you play it out, and you can see it. Yes, it's at a very high level. These little markers that are provinces are basically the size of the areas in the game, which is incredibly abstracted already, right? But you're moving in, you're fighting, you're playing it out. It's at about the level of an Empires in Arms or whatever. My jaw just dropped when I started thinking about, what I think the actual representation is. It might as well be playing a card game. The map is not representative of what's happening. in that case. I'm afflicted by the chaos of my sleep schedule, especially as impacted by my addictive behaviors. This has happened before in my life. Today, I wake up at 6:30 p.m. You know, and it's not like I was out doing good stuff in the daylight hours of the morning. I went to bed somewhere around 9 to 10 a.m. And thought I would wake up a couple hours later, you know. I don't know why. Because I tend not to sleep for, you know, a full 8, and in this case 9 hours straight. And had I woken up a little earlier, I was really planning on that, like not to go out and do stuff, but for rain. And now it's already getting dark, not because it's 6:30. It's quite a bit later because I had to catch up on my addiction. Anyhow, as usual, we looked at these at the beginning of the last round, because the word turn is not being used for that. And I guess we're going to go over each country and figure out, hey, do their things apply, and do the card draw phase. So starting with Turkey, because they were the first to have passed last time, I guess. I think they actually might have been. Otherwise, it was France was first and they were second, and France already had the thing. There wasn't a hell of a lot. I took Conquer Mesopotamia, but I have no goals towards that. It requires a war with a minor that it just it does not seem all that valuable. And actually, other than the points, it just gives some cubes. But looking at my situation, I have some decent amount of military cubes. That's going to help a lot. I've got some real problems internally that need to be resolved. I have cards, most of which don't do me a lot. I've got a subjugate that I don't want to use as an advisor because it's not even a good one. Plus I have goals towards this, but I can't reach it because I only have 1 cube there, and I only have 2 admin cubes. I'm really, really poor in cubes. So my card draws are going to be mainly for advisors. Bloody ridiculous. I drew 2 cards. They were both subjugate without advisors. I got to draw another dip card. I was hoping to get an advisor for each, but I absolutely need the advisor for the other, although it's not going to give me anything right away. All right, it's a spy network. That's cool. I can't give up subjugates, and I have a reasonable amount of money, so I'm going to hoard all those cards. At least one. I have 6 cards total, but I'm going to be able to play at least one of them here, but it means no cubes for admin. Quite possible I may do the reorganization for exchanging cards as well. Now, I'm not going to get rid of the subjugates, but I have a royal marriage. I have so many rulers in here. I have a royal marriage, a forced march. I obviously need the rest of these, but I could ditch these 2 and get 1 card back and get an administrative aid. Not going to happen right now. You know, I'm not really planning on it. It's just, yeah, maybe that's the goal I can take, and that would allow me to shift cubes over into the military to handle maybe this chaotic situation that I'm in the midst of right now. You can probably hear it now, but there was a period where I couldn't hear any noise coming from my computer downstairs, which means my game isn't fighting anymore, and that could be a very bad thing, because right now I've got it on something that's going to take about 40 minutes to an hour to run, likely, which gives me enough time to pause, to move around. By the way, the last video was like 4.5 hours. But just, hey, let's throw more extraneous shit in, right? But it's stuff I've never gone through before, which means I don't know if the team that I've got is going to manage it. So I've got to kind of keep an ear out, and I may have to take a break. I thought I did right now to go try to tinker with my team, and that might actually take me, you know, an hour or 2 to try to get through it. Otherwise, as soon as I stopped the video, I found out that I had failed on my 3rd run of a series of 9, I think. I looked, I don't see any easy way to deal with it, so I put it on something that's going to take time to be easy. But I was really hoping for an uninterrupted period of time in which I could be playing this and making these decisions. It just feels so fucked. The fact that I don't have the imperial border conflict or the Italian ambitions, which are 2B and 2C, kind of prevent me from doing a lot of the other things. I can do bases in North America, but I can do secure the Low Countries. But most of these European things I just can't do. Claim to 2 Sicilies is out. I can keep going in that direction. This one requires 3s. I don't think I have a 3 out here. It's just, it's getting so messy if you don't take them all. Yeah, I don't have a 3 out. The only thing I have is the French naval power there. And it's just like, fuck. Trying to pick and figure out what I want to do to draw my cards is becoming very difficult. And this is the difference between the countries that are in the lead, who have succeeded in most of their missions, and the countries who are in last place. Hey, I remember France being, you know, kind of towards the top of the bottom half of the game. Yeah, now they're in last place, and you know, they're just facing this chaos within their country that's not that bad, a lack of cubes, so I can't do shit. I've blown both of my subjugation cards, which kind of sucks because there's at least something I could have done with that. Like, I don't know what, because when I look at the missions, the Italian ambition is owner vassalize 5 or more in Lombardy or central Italy. Well, I have nothing anymore. I could go to war with Spain, but I'm not likely to win such a war. Spain was in war last turn, but they're not in bad shape. Unlike Poland, Turkey, and Austria, they kind of didn't really fight. They just moved over here. So I'd rather not smash into them, although they have worse problems than I do. And this might be the one opportunity to go to war with Spain. However, when I look at the 7 Years' War, Spain's not involved in any of this shit. So there's nothing, I'm not going to get any synergy off the power play card, or power struggle, or whatever the fuck it is. And then, you know, without going military, and I'm not very good at military right now, I'm left with very few options. I think aiming for exploration is probably the best I can fucking do. I'm just not thrilled. And I'll be getting, because of the way that I cheat these. Oh, I can go for that. I can go for a military against Benin. Does Benin count? Yeah, Benin counts. So that in conjunction with exploration would actually get me the Guinean coast. And then I can try to push elsewhere. But I'm just, you know, these don't create, these aren't as impressive as the European ones, especially for France, which means I'm just kind of in a shitty position in terms of trying to figure out what the fuck to do with myself. I have a lot of interesting cards here. I could really light up Spain's day, and not in a good way, because I have the spy network here. So if I did go to war with Spain, okay, what would that do for me? Italian ambition is not the one I want. It's imperial border conflict. Owner vassalize Savoy and at least one of Luxembourg, Namur, Lorraine, Sungu, Bruges. I believe I have one of them up here. Luxembourg, was that in the list? Yeah, okay. Savoy is a vassal of Spain. If I declare war on Savoy, well, I don't have a claim over here anymore. Oh yeah, I do actually. Yeah, so I can declare war on Spain without any cost. Maybe this is my best choice, to aim for this. Now I can of course switch them after I see my cards. Spain's got an army, I don't, but their army's over here. Spain's got a better navy than me. Maybe? I don't know about that. I got 2 heavy ships. They don't. Of course, my ships are over there. Not in the best of places, but yeah. I have debt. Spain does not. And am not in great position financially. Spain has a little bit of a cube advantage on me. But I have the spy network. I can really fuck Spain up. Might be worth it. I don't know. Might be able to try and negotiate. I don't know how in-person negotiation works. And my game stopped again, which doesn't mean I've lost, but it means that, you know, every time I spend, I guess it's about 8 minutes for those runs. No, maybe less than that. 5 or 6 minutes for the runs that I'm doing right now. Which means, you know, every time I pick up the camera and start thinking, I gotta run back down. Yeah, 4 minutes. I think I'll do France and then I'm done. On the other hand, I've got this study technology in harbor refugees. Harbor refugees will help me colonize places. Study technology is very interesting because Spain has gained some technologies that I'm very interested in having. Colonization policy, military drill if I'm going to go to war with them. They're both appealing. So I think I may shy away from the war experience, but I'm going to hold this out there as kind of a concept, but see what I draw. Things I like for that goal. First of all, my first green card was an exceptional year. Can't play it yet? Okay. But that'll help me a lot. I have 1 unrest in my nation. It'll fix it. It'll give me money. Money's a problem. Sweet. Then I drew this. Commercial growth's a good card, but the +2 advisor is necessary for me to play exceptional year. I might have drawn another admin to try to avoid having to play this because this might be useful, but I don't have enough cubes to play both of these cards anyway. So then I drew a dip. I got another study technology, which I think I'm going to bank because, again, there's multiple technologies that Spain has at the least that I'm interested in. So that's going to cost me a big $6. And I'm done for a while. I can't keep my addiction fed and play this at the same time. You know, there'll be a time later tonight when I can come up and start doing this. Funny thing is, or not so funny, is that I'd much rather be playing this, right? I'm excited about this. I enjoy doing this. I fucking hate my addiction, right? And I hate it more than I ever have before because they fucked me over with nerfing a character that I worked pretty hard to get. You know, we'll see, that might fix. I'm hoping to use that kind of as an excuse to fucking quit it. But here's the thing. When I'm not playing, when I'm up here playing this, I'm happier than I am when I'm down there playing that, right? When I'm down there playing that, my brain is numb. There's nothing going on. But happier is different from can bear, right? I can play this for like maybe an hour, get through an entire cycle, couple of rounds in the action rounds maybe. But then I can't keep playing. I start getting fatigued, whatever. I go downstairs. If I'm not playing my addiction, I'm doing other equally, you know, trying to drown myself type things, watching videos or something like that, reading if I'm lucky. But the pain comes much more easily. The pain comes much more easily when I'm not pressured into every moment being fucking dragged into having to have my eyes glued to a screen and dealing with problems that come up regularly in the game. I hate the game, the Raid, not this one. This one's okay. I hate the computer game. I absolutely hate what it does to me. But what it does to me is absolutely vital. Like, because the pain is worse than, the pain of existing is fucking worse than, like, you know, whatever I can gain out of any positive parts of my life. So the best I can do is fucking drown myself in addiction. And, you know, I completely understand why people take up things like heroin now. It never made sense to me before. Like, I didn't understand. I don't know. It's not like I faced my pain before, so I don't know. I fixed my issue in the game, and I'm climbing again with another team that may be a little better. I don't know. It was better for that particular thing. Also, I hear that the thing that got screwed, that I worked really hard to get, they reversed their decision on that. So less likely to break away, but you know, it's a good thing overall. And finally, I used that time to make myself to actually cook some food. I've pulled some chicken down from the freezer a couple of days ago, and it finally thawed out well enough. When food is somewhat frozen, when chicken's somewhat frozen, it's much easier to cut. But you don't want it fully frozen. I made sort of it turned out kind of a mixture of Chinese and Mexican flavorings. And it turned out not terribly good. Just, you know, sort of thing that I put them in a wrap and eat them. I got another hunk of chicken, and this will last me at least another day, what I've got cooked right now. But yeah, it just didn't turn out as well as I had hoped. I probably should have stayed away from putting the Chinese flavoring type stuff in it. Anyway, on to Spain, as I once again try to bloat this video. Why Spain is in a lot of trouble. They've really been falling behind. So part of it is, hey, I never got this. I got the first step, get Aragon as a vassal or whatever, but this is own all provinces of Aragon, Andalusia, Leon, and Castile, and have no problems in them. Well, I was never able to convert Aragon. So my level 2A card, which a lot of stuff's going to depend upon, has just been unreachable. Same thing with Poland, not being able to create the Commonwealth, but I don't think they have a mission to do so, right? Well, to create the Commonwealth as an actually merged thing. See, here's the fucked up thing. Before the game begins, Poland and Lithuania are a dual monarchy. But Poland doesn't own doesn't have Lithuania as a vassal. And they have a goal to do so. But they never, as far as I know, they don't have a goal. Let me peek. Yeah, they do not have a goal to take it beyond a vassal situation. Now, historically, I believe the two countries merged early in this time period, like into a single nation, essentially. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can tell me you're full of it, right? I know there were still religious difficulties, etc., but I think they merged into something, like the Sejm covered both countries, right? It was all one core government, even if there were differences between, them. Kind of like, Austria-Hungary. Well, Austria, the Habsburgs ended up owning both Austria and Hungary, but sometime in, okay, now I'm having trouble remembering. I don't remember if it was 19th century or 18th, but they recognized Hungary as a separate crown in a much more official sort of way, giving rights to Hungary, rights that Hungary historically kind of should have had, but that had gotten kind of degraded a little bit. But they recognized rights to Hungary, but also made it sort of a singular nation at the same time. I think we're talking very early 19th century, because I have the feeling it happened during the Napoleonic Wars. It was reforms that happened during the Napoleonic Wars, but it may have been just before that. So I don't really recall. And for some reason, I want to say Francis II, but as the emperor, who would be right after Maria Theresa, and I get the feeling that's 18th century actually still that it happened. Anyway, that kind of recognition sort of solidified Austria as a singular country in a way that it hadn't really been, but also granted additional special rights to Hungary. It really became a nation of two crowns. Really should have been three, but anyway, Bohemia didn't have that kind of power at the time. And I don't know where I'm wandering with this. But anyway, Spain never got Aragon at all. So this card has been denied to me. This card requires 2C, which is the Spanish main. I haven't gotten the lucky rolls and haven't been doing a lot of exploration because not enough fat in the game, man. Not enough fucking fat. You know, even when I understand the cubes and whatever, say, you know, you could say, well, okay, you know, you're 250 years late, but you'd think you'd be able to start colonizing eventually? Nah, there's just not enough. Even though I finally understand how to manipulate the cubes a little better, events and whatnot make it too fucking hard. There's too much problem. Now, early on, probably the religious problems wouldn't be so bad. It's kind of like if Turkey doesn't do certain things in the original EU, and in fact Spain as well, if Spain doesn't colonize in the original, because colonies in the original game bring you real money in a way that they don't really here. Why? Not so much from the colonies themselves, but from the fact that you might be able to get merchant access and essentially be able to get a monopoly there. Anyway. And then once you're established with a monopoly, you're making good money and you can kind of defend it more easily and everything. So El Dorado is out of the question there. Iberian Union, that's basically form Spain, not going to happen. Defend the Catholic faith. Problem with this, 2D, 3A. What's 2D? 2D is the Italian ambitions, haven't succeeded in that. And 3A is the Iberian Union, so out of reach. Italian conquest based on the Italian ambition hasn't happened. We're close. You know, if you have Aragon, you're almost there. And if you have Aragon with Naples, you get this. But the Turkish grabbing Naples has fucked Spain for the entire game. And Spanish Moluccas requires 2 cards that I just, you know, that are very high up there. Which means Spain has no points available to them. How are they doing, you know, reasonably well comparatively, right? They're in the upper tier of the players, I would say. Yeah, they're kind of in this weird sort of middle tier, I guess. Because Turkey, Austria, and maybe Poland are in the upper. And then France and England are well behind. But Spain has gained a lot of ground without getting any cards. Well, they've been able to gather points from the power plays and whatnot. But it's a shame because one of those, the religious faith one, I've got all the requirements for it except for the prior card, right? So this is what I have to aim for. I have no choice. I can hear my battle still raging, which means my team is still doing good. But yeah, I mean, it leaves you really frustrated when you're looking over the same fucking set of cards. I would also feel frustrated if I ran through all my missions, got them all, and didn't have anything else to do. I seem to remember the computer game throws you missions at a regular rate. Like, you always have them. They're always available. And the choice to make a limited card set makes that harder. And they're almost always accessible, I think. Again, I haven't played those later versions that give you missions very much. But I know I didn't feel like I was given a whole slew of choices. You know, here I'm given a whole slew of choices, none of which I can achieve. You know? These are really the only 2 that I can. But that may not be that bad because I don't think you're given 6 things. I think you're given 2, you know, and you pick one or something like that. And it's a fairly limited amount. Here are my first couple cards, figuring, hey, let's fill this slot. I don't have anybody for it. Obviously, I'm at the end. And the first one I drew was an exceptional year, and I'm like, well, that fills the requirement, but boy, that would be kind of helpful. The next one's a man of the church. Both of them have an advisor. I'm set now. Man of the church could be useful though, because it's a relatively cheap way for me to get the missionary effect where I might want it. If I concentrate, I could destroy all of this, but that would take me a whole bunch of admin cubes. I don't have them. I could also give in and start creating the revolutionary. Oh, Yeah, I know. Change state religion. I'd lose 2 prestige and a stability. Fuck. I'd remove royal marriage and 5 cubes from any areas that belong to the religion that I'm abandoning. You know, this is so funny. I went counter-reform, but now I'm like, well... I can't. I'm not allowed to. It's only Catholic to Protestant, etc. Okay, so yeah. I guess I'm stuck fighting against this. If it collapses, I might be able to do it. I don't remember how and when that happens. That's at the end of a turn, and we were kind of hoping for that, but maybe you can't. Maybe you can't become revolutionary that way. I don't know where the fuck it is in the game, like in the rules or anything. There's some point where you can do this. And I would think it's in the religious dissent. Yeah. Players who have, no. Gain or remove unrest. Fuck, I'm just not seeing it. Alright, I have no idea where that rule is or what. Let me go back to change religion. It wouldn't be under that. It would be under the religious rules. Religion and faith. PR may change state religion from Catholic to Protestant or the opposite from age 2 onward. State religion may also change as an event. NPRs can change. See, there's something that allows you, if your capital is a different religion and is in unrest, but I don't know where the fuck that is. Is it in the rebel phase? Here it is. If an area is religious, if religious rebels occupy your capital and at least 2 more of your provinces, you may take change state religion to adopt the religion of your capital to your new state religion. Then remove all unrest. I don't know if that applies, right? Because change state religion action is only Catholic to Protestant and Protestant to Catholic, which is... And people were, both Turkey and Spain were playing with the hopes of becoming a revolutionary ideology. But that may not be an option. Fuck. Change state religion. Starting with age 2, you can change from Catholic to Protestant. Otherwise, changing can only happen through an event. Or if conversion is forced upon you, see page 31. 31 is through peace. Yeah, I think we will not be able to. I think people who converted to Counter-Reformation did through an event. But I may have cheated. I may not have paid this and taken it by that. I don't think that's the case, but I don't know. So I'm in a lot of trouble, is basically what it comes down to. The people who went revolutionary, well, I don't know how much effect they have, but I've got to change, I've got to fight against this. And so does Turkey. And that probably means Spain and Turkey are screwed for the game. Like, they were already. Now, that's fine for Turkey because they're in the lead. They deserved it. Spain, not so much, but it kept someone from being close to it. I don't remember who. I think it was Austria who got to choose this and put it over there. What it means is that I wanted to keep the man of the church card. I drew another admin card. It has an advisor, so I'm in better shape. It's not great, You know, I've got the missionaries though, those will help. I've also got Muslims here, that's going to be problematic. You know, just all kind of ugliness is happening. Now, missionaries can affect this. Man of the church or regular actions can affect these, but missionaries can also affect those. So I'm going to have to try to reestablish the church. The problem is, I got to get them all at once, really. I got to wipe it out. If I don't wipe this, infectious philosophy out, it's just going to keep coming back, you know? And I don't have the cubes to do it. Even if I do a reorg of functionality, I have 4 cubes then. That can get me 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll do it if I ignore every other thing that I need to do. Might be worth it, because if I don't do it, I'm fucked. But then I will be facing a whole bunch of unrest within my country still. I'll have just cured the religious problem. The other problem is, man of the church is only a 1 admin. Okay, good. That's vital, because I need to play that in order to save one of these for next turn for the Muslim area that I have, and convert that as well. Anyway, I still hear fighting going on, so I can go do the English. And despite their low victory points, has actually achieved most of their missions. Just shows you how valueless the missions are in their own way. I don't know. You know, it's kind of hard to tell. Well, where are the people who are in the lead getting their points? You know, you look at Turkey and you're like, oh, they're doing great. You know, or were. Not so much anymore. That's fine. Austria, yeah, it looks like they've actually succeeded. I know that they've not succeeded at all their missions. Same thing with Turkey. But they've been gaining points somehow. Maybe off the power struggles, maybe off something else. I don't know where. You know, it's like, where the fuck are points coming from? They can come from events, which are kind of hidden. You know, you look and you're like, well, I'm doing well. I guess I succeeded in, you know, doing things in events or something. They come from here. It's possible to grab them from here, but this has been problematic, right? What do we got here? Industrial Revolution is not on the board, not available to anyone. Diplomatic Ventures. This is within reach of people. 3 or more alliances, 3 or more marriages on the board with at least 4 different realms, including at least 1 opponent. The hard part's the opponent. But 2 people could certainly work together to score this. Nobody's really worked for it. You know, it's like if a couple of people start doing it, other people might too. Our man on the throne is forcing desired succession. That's a hard... This has to be on an opponent. That's a hard thing to do, because you have to capture their capital. So it would have to be beating up on someone who's kind of weak. It's not like, you know, I was nowhere near capturing Turkey's capital, right? And Jewel in the Crown, this is, again, a hard one to reach. So basically the fact that, like, we're not... I mean, some of these are just hard, period, right? This one's out of reach. This one kind of depends on other people. But this one is just hard, and no matter what. This one is hard because nobody's reached the Indian areas, no, except for Portugal. But looking at England, they have colonial ambitions, 4 more provinces. We're going to keep this one. But let's take a look at the others. Continental possessions, owner vassalized, this is one of their old ones. I got nothing there, man. You know, and in terms of the power play, I'm interested in stuff down here, Saxony and something else. So that's not really there. I would love to work towards this, but I'm not there, you know. And Mediterranean authorities out of the question. I'll put this one out. It really doesn't make a damn bit of difference, just because the English, you know, they've done well enough. They've scooped up all the ones that are kind of easy to take, with the exception right now. Colonial ambition might be fairly easy. It's worth 5 points. It'll give me more cubes, which allows me to keep cycling and pulling forward. I really should have the colonization policy. One of the things, though, is I'm near the end of the game. Capturing one of these doesn't give me all that much. Plus, I've been cheating, at least recently, or maybe throughout most of the game, in terms of generating cubes more quickly. Whatever it is, it hasn't, you know, gotten me anywhere near the historical capabilities, just because countries are too fucked. You know, early on, I'm kind of early on I was certainly blundering with the system and didn't understand. You know, I looked at advisors and I'm like, advisors aren't worth it. Cards aren't worth holding. I was paying too much for cards because I gotta pay money, and money was a serious problem for almost all the nations. Later on, I started to realize cubes are the real problem. And the only way to get cubes is to have advisors. By that point, most of the countries had working economies. You know, I had put a lot of effort in to get enough cash. I think I could have done this better. But there are constrictive qualities to the game that prevent you from being able to do the things you want to do. So, to some extent, maybe that is the flaw of the game. Is you got to get your economy in shape where you're making money, then you got to convert that to cubes, then you got to. But if that's the case, it's horrible, right? But even now that I know how to use the cubes a little bit, at least, you know, I have a better clue towards it. They're getting drained by events. And it's not like you're doing godlike things if you all have tons of cubes. You end up going to fucking war in those cases. But you can't afford to go to war without a good supply of cubes. And you can't afford to colonize. And basically what we're seeing is a very, very ahistorical world in which I'm not sure that Europeans would dominate the world. They probably got to North America. But, well, I don't know. You know, China had become completely insular and everything. But yeah, it's almost like, you know, the colonization period's just not really happening at all. For advisors, I actually get some. Now, I got a replacement king with a revolutionary idea, which is interesting. I could grab mercantilism. Seems a little late, right? Which gets me extra points and makes it a little cheaper. But I'm nowhere near the stability, so this is probably just a waste. Okay. I got another revolutionary idea, but this one gives me my point. And then I drew this one, and it gives me my point, but it's a fucking subjugate. And we're going into a power struggle here. I can gain something. Point-wise, it might not be worth it. Other options is in the Low Countries. Are there anything... Looking to see if there's anything neutral that I could get hold of. With a lot of money, I might be able to vassalize the Dutch. A lot of money, a lot of cubes, whatever. Because their value is not that high. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got something else overseas now. So they're just a 6 income. That says I would have to form an alliance with them, which I can do. An alliance would cost me 3 cubes. That's what I have. I could keep that alliance, and then to vassalize them would cost me, I think, 6 cubes, right? It's the income. My base tax, again, their base tax, their tax value is 6. So my base tax is more than twice that, so I don't have to marry them. So yeah. Now, what do I have to do? Well, the 3 cubes that I have here will work. 1 cube could buy me the 6 cubes there. Because remember, influence is $3 per cube. So 15 bucks, I could, you know, take out a loan and manage that. Which means with a reorganization, I could get myself into position for this. Is it worth it? I don't know. It opens up other things later. It would destroy the Dutch. This is Dutch too. So that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I counted that in 6. Yeah. Yeah. Now, getting 6 cubes, not trivial. There's room for 5 here. Yeah, I have 2, but there's room for 5 here, and there's room for additionals here. So, yeah, it should be possible. Interesting thought. I paid for my cards. I move this on. I think I still hear fighting. Austria has not gotten a lot of their missions, and one of the reasons is I haven't managed to do this one yet. Owner vassalized 2 or more Brescia, Franche-Comté, Namur, Luxembourg, or Holstein. Well, Brescia is over here. I had vague hopes of, and that helps me towards the Italian stuff more, which I cannot even achieve until I get this. So, Franche-Comté is part of Burgundy. That'll be hard. Namur, I don't know where the fuck Namur is. It's up here, but that's Luxembourg. There's Namur. Oh, wait, that may be Nassau. No, that's Namur. It's owned by Spain. Be kind of hard to deal with. Luxembourg is owned by France, is vassal by France. France didn't go to war. You know, I don't feel like I'm terribly bad at the idea of war, except I have all this fucking debt. And I'm interested in the 7 Years' War, and I'm sitting on a lot of points for it. So I probably don't want to push that. And the last one is Holstein, which would be a massive attempt on the Danes. Now the Danes may actually have a large town. They do. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'd have to do them in one turn or I'd lose the alliance with them. 13. 14, 15, 16. Yeah, Denmark is mighty. I can't vassalize them. I could go to war with them. That might be pretty easy. Like, I could actually get a decent amount of stuff off of them if I'm victorious. Whatever, this is what we're picking because the others we can't even go for. And let me figure out my cards. To keep them all, I got 2 advisors who are good for me. One's a spy network. That's not going to help me against a non-player. Tactical retreat. That's not really going to help me too much in a military situation. But both of them are very good advisors. That's what I was drawing for. Then I drew a final central authority. One possibility is try to get a ruler or whatever. But this is a useful card. Increased stability. Other than that, it's less useful. But increased stability is the big one from that. So, you know. If I still had an army or whatever, of course I wouldn't have as much money then. I would be much more gung-ho about this idea of hitting Denmark. Another possibility is I can get the Adriatic ports one, which would involve, ideally I would have had subjugation or whatever, but I could attack something like the papacy. Ferrara? what it is? Yeah. Actually, that's the family that my family intermarried with for hundreds of years, the Dukes of Ferrara. It's really weird looking at the family tree, which goes back into the 1400s, maybe further back, I don't remember. I seem to think it was 1400s, where it's just, you know, sort of this parallel branching between the two families. But, yeah. I'm inbred on both sides of my family tree. My mother and father are not related, or were not related to each other. I don't know if that changes after you die. But yeah, I mean, the family trees are scary on my father's side. The family tree is scary on my father's side. And with my mother's side, it's really not true. But I like to make fun of it because she comes from Ozark stock, which traces back to old Virginia stock, which again tended to be kind of insular and a lot of intermarriage throughout that whole type of thing. The family tree for that side was actually commissioned by my grandfather, and it looks fine, you know. But it's when you talk about, you know, the hillbillies from the Ozarks, the thing you think about is interbreeding, same as like Kentucky and Tennessee and whatnot. You think about it in Tennessee? I don't know, but you sure do in Kentucky. But yeah, these are like the old families from Virginia that moved then to like Kentucky and then moved on into, they just constantly were running away from civilization. I don't know if, you know, sometimes it was younger sons or whatever who weren't due to inherit much. They were given a stockpile to go forward or whatever, sold off land that was already getting old. But some of it might have just been people with like, you know, sort of a wanderlust where it's like, as soon as people start crowding in, yeah, let's get out of here. So I bought my cards. I'm good, I think, on the Austrians in terms of what they're doing. They still here fighting. Poland's goals are tough. Now, Poland's in third place. Good distance behind second place, which is a good distance behind first place. But, you know, in each case, well, first and second are reachable. Like that's a distance you can probably cover in the rest of the game. I'm not so sure whether Poland can probably make it to where second is, but I'm not so sure that they can make it all the way to first place. We don't know. If we think about Poland's history in this period, we're assuming they're just going to disappear. So probably not. But what do I have available to me in cards? First of all, I have the Black Sea ports, which I'm holding on to. I could gain this. Can't go to war with Turkey this time, but I could go do something in the Crimea. In fact, I'm at 3 ports. I could go to war with Genoa and pretty much just grab this. That would be almost trivial. So I think I'm going to be able to get that. But I have no cubes. And I can't go to war. Okay, well, never mind. Break the Rus, not available in this game. It's a mission that doesn't work because there's no Russians in the game, and the border doesn't allow it. It's adjacent to Moscow and Ryazan. Moscow and Ryazan is here. How many provinces? 8 or more. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not allowed to play on the areas of the board that would count for that. Pisses me off because if you threw this in or whatever somehow, I don't know. There should be some way I can get it, but maybe it would be just too easy without the Russians there. House of Vasa is basically a war with Sweden. I'm not going to do that, okay? Just not going to do that right now. Although Sweden's past its prime, no Gustavus Adolphus came out, or if it did, it was really pathetic, as most of the big military stuff seems to be. The final one is House of Wesson, own or vassalized 3 or more provinces adjacent to Saxony. Now this is Lower Saxony. Where's Saxony? Saxony's over here. 3 or more provinces adjacent. I have that. And it looks to me like I succeeded in 3B. Did I just succeed in 3B? No, this is 3D. 3B was dominate the Baltic. Well, what the fuck, man? All right. Well, I can't score this until later, and it doesn't give much of an advantage, but it does give me some points, and points are important. So I'll be focusing on the Black Sea ports. I don't know why I didn't have that there. I may have looked and said, oh, I have all of these, but I think what I was thinking was that this was Saxony, not here. And yeah, I easily, I have Bohemia. As long as that doesn't fall, I'm in good shape. It's going to give us some cubes, but the big thing is the victory points. Time to draw some cards, and I need advisors just like everyone else. No thought at all to what I'm getting for cards. Hey, I get an advisor, I'm good. I draw a military, I get a king. That'll be helpful. And I get another king. Oh well. What did I draw? Drew some military stuff. Siege assault can be useful. Tactical retreat, if you want to lose. So, I mean, it's great to have cards that defend you against problems, but you very seldom are looking at the deck and saying, what can I do, if I fail, type of situations. Like planning for that. Planning for that is taking up resources from succeeding. So you're more likely to fail, is kind of the thing. But of course, if you have it in your hand, if you're not aiming for it. I find the military cards aren't terribly useful during military operations. I have a fair amount of stuff here. This naval traditions, yeah, might be useful to me, but I definitely want that for the advisor. It's a shame that I did not get another advisor. I paid my money for those cards. My plan is to go to war with Genoa, I think. Which is going to be trivial, right? I just have to fight this, and then I'll have troops on the board and Genoa will not, and I'll get that. But, declaration of war, I have an army on the board so I can move in. I get the cube back after I fight my battle. That allows me to siege it. Boom. I'm there on 1 cube. If I'm lucky. And I don't see why I wouldn't be. I mean, I'm fighting one thing. If I was fighting Crimea, this would be harder. But yeah, let's just steal that from Genoa, if I remember. All right. That means we's ready, right? And yes, I know, I took forever here on this one. I haven't dissected a card draw phase as heavily in a little while. But I feel like I had to for some reason. I don't have an easy way to explain the whys and wherefores of whatever the fuck I do. I wanted to say what fors. But the whys and wherefores of the what fors. But it didn't seem as clever upon an instant of reflection. I don't know. Okay, last turn, last round's war caused Turkey a whole lot of problems, as well as losing them a lot of their territory. They're a much weaker country right now. What did they lose? They lost 2, 3, 4, 6 provinces and 2 allied territories, or were they vassals? I think they were allies, but could have been either way. But yeah, it was allies. They're in a really bad shape in terms of losing some territory, but they're still winning the game. That doesn't matter too much. However, I got all this fucking unrest just burning all over me. And some of it's religious. Now, some of it I can just get rid of. I got 4 military cubes here. How many unrest do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 with 4 cubes. But it could be 6 cubes if I do a reorg. So I can get rid of all the unrest and just leave this rebellion as it is. I would like to get rid of some of the religious problem. I have no cards that'll help me with that. And converting an area costs 2 admin, which means I can't do any of that reorganization stuff. I think I'm going to do that first. So right now I'm looking at 3 different sections of revolutionary area. I will spend, what is it, 2 cubes and $3 to clear the island here. That seems like maybe the best place to do. Now, I've already run out of these, so $3, so that'll give me 22 back. None of the events helped me. There are some interesting ones out there. I don't think anybody's too interested. So, disputed succession. Are there any royal marriages that anyone wants to tinker with? Maybe. Turkey doesn't want to, obviously. Decision. This is an anti-Polish card, or a Polish affecting card. Poland is not really close to the lead. However, it does give either a military or a diplomatic cube. That could be useful to Turkey. I might take this just for that case later. But I'm not really, it's probably for a military cube. I'm not really gung-ho on that. There may be a Turkish card in there that I need to cope with. So that seems more important. Oh, I got to watch out. Circles are up to die. Got to keep that in mind as well. I'm not really going to be able to move towards these, even though I've got a couple of subjugate cards in my hand. I just don't have the diplomacy to do it. So, you know, we'll do what we can, right? I think we're going to leave this area in revolt because there's no real harm to that in terms of our board position. Will start costing us prestige, and Austria's sneaking up on us, but I think they're going to sneak up a lot faster. Like, I think it's much worse for us to have the unrest than to be losing a victory point a turn. No, this is just, who cares? That doesn't feel right, but it is how it is. Spend all that time thinking about these. I might not notice some of those that I need to deal with that would align, especially if I'm on the wrong side of the table, but I also forget about these. France has an important one here, the Mississippi Bubble. I just don't want it to happen, but I'm afraid it will. Why? Who's next to me? England, who has debt, and Austria, who has debt. Both of them have something to gain by picking this. If they pick it, I don't have to take Louis XV, and I'll have to pay a pile of money. I think that is better than the B option, which only I might pick. And the best case is, so this is what's crazy, right? This event, this thing that's looming over France, you might argue, you have to do something about it, right? You have to make a choice on this. Well, no, I don't, in the following sense. If no one else picks it, it just fades away and becomes a non-issue. Now, so the bubble doesn't burst, and I don't have to do anything to prevent it from causing an issue, and it just works. That feels so wrong that, like, and again, maybe, so here's the thing. There's a dichotomy for me, and in any game that I'm playing, I want to be making decisions that align with decisions that humans involved in whatever I'm representing, in this case I'm representing a country, are making. I don't want to be a god, usually. There are some games where that's suitable. This one doesn't feel like it's quite at that scope, but you know, when you're talking about civilization and stuff like that, nobody's really making those decisions in a sort of sense. But here, it feels like it's close enough to things, to a scope where yeah, you know, I can identify people, right? I've got specific kings making specific decisions, so I should be involved in that. I'm not saying I'm playing the role of the king. It's something broader. It's like the collective human effort or whatever within the country. But there's just no way that this event exists, right, as this impending Damocles sword, and I can argue, I can almost accept that like somebody else can influence what my decision is if I don't choose to make a decision. But that the best choice of all is that no one on the table makes the decision and it just fades away. It's just, to me, it's astounding, you know, it's like that breaks my ability to cope with, you know, who's making the decisions. I'm bothered enough that somebody else can make the decisions for me, but the fact that if no one makes the decision, I am completely saved from the problem, right? You know, I am trying to think what that could be, because it almost seems like let the bubble burst is the ignore the problem answer. This is, what, pray and it'll go away? I don't know. I really don't fucking know. Able to neutralize the second option. I'm just afraid nobody's going to pick that second option, though. See, it's the first option that people want to pick. France must pay money equal to half their tax income. That's pretty fucking ugly. I'm already in debt. That might just send me into bankruptcy. And then all players adjacent get a bonus. Okay. That's ugly. But for the other option, the option of letting the bubble burst, I would lose 2 victory points. That sucks. I'm in last, so I'm almost going to be lapped by the Turks. If it might happen. And 2 stability, which would be cubes. I can't really afford to lose cubes. And 3 unrest. Oh, fuck. That's more cubes I've got to get. Yeah, I don't think I can avoid this. So I was looking at the discards the colonists. Who the hell cares about that? The stability, if I time it right, I wouldn't lose any cubes. But yeah, all I can do is hope that it doesn't get picked. Because I sure the hell am not going to pick it. This might be a better ruler. 2-1-2 versus 1-2-2. I don't know. I'd rather have admin than diplomacy, I think. I don't fucking know. You know, I agonize over picking this, and anyway, if I'm going to face that, maybe the best thing to do is to trade. Because if anybody's going to pick anything, they're going to try to reduce their debt with that card. So me getting a little bit more money might make sense. The cards say I have better choices. Now he's a square. There's a circle that's out there to die. I spend $2 to play this as a minor action. Well, hold on. And then, yeah, this doesn't cost me. But hold on. And then I spend my 2 admin cubes to fire this off. Now that I meet the requirements, I can remove a boop. There goes the boop. Turns into a ball. And I get $9. Running into a situation where these gold ones, which I've been using as 25s, in the rules they're to be used as 10s. It probably makes more sense. I really wasn't expecting, I think that's the case, I don't know. I really wasn't expecting money to be in such short supply, but my 5s are kind of running down. So I may have to make a shift there, or, you know, just keep going. I'm just, you know, I'm so loath to like have 1 coin equal to 2 of another coin. That it's such a dumb currency progression, right? The U.S. has it, $5 and $10 bills. What the hell? Why are there $10 bills? You know, the $20. So $5, $20. That's okay. Should be a $25, but $20 fine. Then you go to the 50. It's kind of stupid, but the 100 makes sense. You know. You want enough denomination that you're not like looking at, oh, I get 2 back for this 1. All right, what the fuck with Spain? I'll get to them because I need to speak and don't need to play or something. I don't know. Combination of my addiction not working. That's perhaps a big part of it. But the addiction is a replacement for work in a way, and that eats up more time. My skewed sleep schedule and everything feels like time just is flying by. So, you know, it's Thursday night. I go dancing tomorrow. It feels like I just went. You know, sure, Saturday's a recovery day. Sunday, I guess I went shopping. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm worried. Like, I had a bill that went past due. That used to never happen to me. I don't know how it happened, but I'm not able to pay attention to things enough anymore. The dental thing, I should have already, you know, I should have been scheduled and be going in this month. That's what my plan was, May. I don't know when I'm going to do it. Next month, I've got the jury duty. I haven't done a damn thing about that. I've got my election stuff. I just can't pay attention. Like, it's all fucking just flying by. And, you know, I wish I would just fucking die so that it would stop, right? Like, because I know if time keeps passing like this, my dad's going to die before me, and then I'm going to have to cope with all the shit involved in that, and I got stuff there and everything. I just want out of this before that shit happens, and I want out soon. But, you know, I walk up my staircase and I'm afraid I'll fall, you know, break my neck or something. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Never used to feel that way. Never used to have a terrible fear of dying, but also, you know, it was seldom this immediate that I wanted to. You know? Like, something's got to stop this fucking train now. Because I always kind of made fun of my wife, because she was always afraid of things like, you know, falling on a staircase or something like that, but also was obviously much more actually suicidal than I am. And now it's like, are the two related? You know, does this mean? I don't think so. You know, I'm certainly, I was at a much deeper place where I was really kind of much more heavily considering it about a month ago or so. But anyway, it's all I can fucking do. I have to speak, even though I'm in the midst of this and ruining the playthrough, obviously. This is what happens when I get away from my addiction. Like, I turned off the computer so I could come up here because I have a couple hours before it would be most beneficial for me to be doing stuff in the game. I don't have a huge debt condition. I know I can do things just right if I move everything over and stomp things out. So I'm going to play 1 cube. Paid my $2 for a man of the church. The only place that I control that I can convert is here. And they're going to convert to, I guess, something I can't find. I want to make them counter-reform, but I'm out of counter-reform. I think I'm allowed to remove these using the power of the church. I'll use an Orthodox for now. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, but yeah, I don't have the counters to handle the religious situation. There are Protestants all over the board, and there's not much I can do. I'm really not sure why these overlay. I'm assuming some of them just get removed and the religion comes back, which is why it's important to keep track of that. It's in a painful situation. I'm planning on vassalizing the Dutch. I think I decided that's where I'm going to go. I got lots of other things I can do. I can colonize, but I guess I can colonize this. I can't colonize these. That's take military operations to take. But I've got the subjugation card. So let's calculate this out. I need to get a bunch of cubes. I don't remember what the number was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Seriously? That's it? Right, so 5, one would have to be a cube. That would be $12 more. I almost have that. Getting rid of the debt would help. A trade would help generate me the cash. Maybe somebody else will get rid of the debt. Overall, that's kind of a good thing. But if I trade, I can spend 1 cube plus money to get the cubes that I need. 1 cube for the subjugation, that leaves me 1 cube for trade. No exploration, nothing like that. Unless I do a reorg. Shit, I'm counting wrong. I may have to... So, see, here's the thing. I get points for... I have alliances here and here. I get a point for that alliance, for each of those alliances. In the power play, I would instead get a point if I owned the territory. If I'm the only person in the area who owns the territory, I get a point. Now that may be only player realm, which means that in Lower Saxony I could get an extra bonus point by converting the area. But that's why I kind of decided, hey, at 1 point each, it's really not that big a difference. Vassalizing Portugal might make sense. Here's the problem. I can't vassalize the Dutch. The Dutch are at, like I said, 6 or whatever, 5, I don't know. But the problem with them is that I don't have an alliance with them yet. So my little cube calculation doesn't work. I would need an alliance which would cost me 3 cubes, and they have to be cubes. So I have no way of doing them. At least not that I already pulled the trade cards. So I fucked up. However, vassalizing Portugal, which is both married and in an alliance with me, might be a possibility. They're a little bit richer. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll get something cool out of that. I don't know what happens. Like, I don't know if I'd get this. I don't know. It may just end up as a neutral area controlled by the former government. I have to look into that because it seems a little weird that I would have a vassal in the New World. But maybe not. But yeah, that would be something that I could possibly do. I would need to get 7 cubes total for that, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maximum at that. So that's 21 bucks, so I even need more money more. The cards I picked works very well. The rest don't work at all. English Channel. I have London, Essex, and York, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't move a ship, I think. Well, I could move one to get another one into place, but I don't need it. So what did I say? I said 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the dude. That puts me on the top row, which would be worth 14 bucks, but there's a pirate, so it drops down to 10. There's no one else there. It's decent money. Brain is whirring, very inefficient. If I didn't have all this debt, and I can get rid of some of it, I have some money. I might be able to manage to defend the empire, right? Right? No. No, because I need 2 things. I might be able to manage vassalizing Venice, which was the big deal here. And that would get me Brescia, which is one of the 2. But I still would need Burgundy, maybe, which is currently allied with the Spaniards for some reason. Namur, which is Spanish-owned, Luxembourg, or Holstein. I had thoughts of going to war with the Danes. If I had a decent army and money, that would be possible. Adriatic ports, a lot easier to reach. I need to own 4 ports facing the Adriatic. I own 3 right now. Go to war with Venice? Yeah, that would be... I actually can't. I could go to war with the Papal States and seize them. Because, you know, they're Protestant and everything. That's just bothering me to no end. Oh boy. I got so much religious problem. There's there isn't a hell of a lot else I can take on the Adriatic Sea. I mean, a war with Spain is really attractive, actually. Like, they have their alliance here. We could declare war on Savoy, force them into the war through the alliance. The Low Countries are of interest to me. Italy's of interest to me. Burgundy's of interest to me. There was something else, well, in the Low Countries, the Namur is theirs. There's just so much we want to take from the Spaniards. However, our cube counts are close. We're a lot more in debt. I'm having real trouble figuring anything out I can do. For this, I need to do two things. Holstein is one of them. I'm not going to be able to get... So here's the thing. I'm not going to be able to get Venice on my side as a vassal unless I do it before I go to war with Holstein. So what do I need to do Venice? Because we want to do Venice. I need, what did we say? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cubes. We have everything underway. We don't have a subjugate. Well, fuck that. We can't do it. One card is so important to so many things in this game. And yeah, I thought I had one. A lot of them came out this turn. And there's people with like 2 of them, whatever. Well, one person with 2 of them, I guess. Well then. What about the Adriatic port? We're in range with our army. It's not a very exciting army. Can't pick up troops as you move, I don't think. I'm not sure. Maybe you can. Gosh. See, that gives me 2 wars I need to do. But this one doesn't help me until I get Venice, or I need both together. So, I don't know. I don't fucking know. On another side of things, if I'm going to go to war, I've got 1, 2, 3 military cubes that I kind of want to just spend to cure my unrest. Because leaving that much unrest is horrible. And if I go to war and succeed, that's a couple more unrest that I have in there. I also don't have a fucking claim in there. Now that would be easy enough to create. Let's just solve our unrest. Oh, no, I can't vassalize anything. 1, 2, 3. Seems like the best idea. But that's the whole thing. Reaching towards your goals, even if they don't involve like fighting another player, is so fucking hard that it's just like, yeah, and then you start looking, and if your country has any defects, you have to solve those defects. You can't just let them lie there. So get rid of the unrest. There are cards that fuck and cause more unrest or rebel rolls and stuff, so screw it. I'm kind of faced with this, hey, while I'm making the decisions on, the missions that I'm taking, missions that I'm taking and other factors, I need a ruler, right? Well, he drew and got rulers and held on to them maybe for that, but there's one available here. I don't know if I want him, but again, there's just too much to hold in my brain. And I've said before, I would get in the same problem playing this opposed. Maybe not if I was like, locked in a room making my decisions on my own, and playing over the computer. But if I was playing in a way that I enjoy playing these games opposed, which is with another player or other players, I would be interacting with them and enjoying, the social experience to an extent that I would be at least as disconnected from stuff that's over on another table or on the other side of the table from me. I would not notice that shit. It's really a weird thing, but there are a lot of games, well, there's a small, and not a lot, there's a handful of games where this is a real issue, where the placement of resources that are part of the game state is such that it is an advantage to some players and a disadvantage to others. By the way, Austria ought to be pumping this up so that they get their extra victory point each turn, an extra cube. That's something else they should do. I don't know where the cost for that is. Oh look, we're diverse religions. What the fuck? Is that right? Yeah, I think so. Has that changed? I'm not sure. That may have changed because we turned something counter-reform. Is there a Protestant electorate? I don't think Lower Saxony is an electorate. Again, I can't remember how many there are. We may be Catholic now. Oh, fuck. All right, let's go look that up. Joy. Again, little tiny. So, you know, compared to the original EU, yeah, sure, I'd have to look something like that up every now and then. And it's not like I'm having to look it up all the time here, but it just feels like I'm looking the same fucking thing up again and again, right? In the old EU, it would be, what's the event for this turn? Wait, let's look at that. Let's keep trying to figure it out, etc. Here it's like there's these generalized concepts that just are not fucking sticking. I've got no goddamn idea what the religion is. It's an advanced rule. If all elector areas are Protestant but the religion is not, when does this happen? At the start of the game? No. At the end of each round. So this, if all elector areas are Protestant, that's not the case. If all the elector areas are Catholic, okay. Well, I don't have a list of the electors. Somebody gave me one. And I don't know how many there are. And it's impossible to see them on the board. Brandenburg is one of them. Catholic. 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 That's 3. 4th is in the Rhineland, Catholic. I think we're Catholic now. Does it matter? Not really. Right? Yeah, I could change the state religion. Okay. So where am I? I'm on the polls. And I'm trying to decide what the fuck to do. And they're the last in this sequence, and then I need to stop. Poland has issues. Not a lot of cubes. A revolt that, well, armies that may be an issue. Or they may fade away. You know, take my chances. Goals, the Black Sea ports. I was going to go after Genoa for this. The Saxony one. Hey, let's turn this in. What the fuck? Now we can. We have Bohemia that's adjacent to Saxony. I think there was like some reason we couldn't do this before. Add a total of 3 cubes to any area within the HRE. Okay, first of all, we get 4 points. And then we add a total of 3 cubes in areas in the HRE. I don't know what this is going to do for me, but I have to find Poland. This is a 4. Wow. I hope I'm allowed to do this. Looks like it. Awesome. Oh, another rule I have to look up. I'm adding cubes from an event card. If I was adding an alliance from an event card, it could supplant an alliance, or from a play, regular, whatever the fuck those are. Monarch cards, I don't know what they're fucking called. I know that that replaces, but I don't know that cubes do. I know that I couldn't play cubes normally in an area that's overcubed. So like this area has 5, this area has 5. And what I'm looking at here is getting cubes into areas in the HRE that are part of the 7 Years' War. So it might be of some, down here I could put cubes here, but they're not going to help me because that's all Austrian territory. Totally worthless to me. Here it's a vassal. I'm not going to be able to take a vassal away. Wouldn't help me, and it's also not one of the points. Here I already have a couple of alliances. I think that gets me a grand total of 1 point. Maybe I want to get a marriage or something, but I can't, so I won't. But I'm left with what? I'm left with really no options left. Nothing that's going to get me into the 7 Years' War. Now, I'm getting points for a lot of areas. I am heavily invested in areas that are 7 Years' War effective. Brandenburg is not one of them, unfortunately. So then it becomes, well, what else is of value to me? Well, this and this are full. If I can replace cubes in one of them, I might be able to grab something. Can't get a marriage. I might be able to get an alliance, though, off of that. So that would be of value. But now we have to figure out where we would find that in the rules. Unlike the HRE thing, which I knew exactly where to look, I don't know, like, first of all, I don't know which letter to look under, D or I. Diplomatic relations, diplomatic power. I don't see diplomatic influence, so let's look for influence. And there it is, 15 and 32. 32 is what I'm going to guess talks about influence. Okay. Influence gained through events, mission rewards, or peace terms. What? How am I getting this? What's happening? Where am I? Who am I? I'm fucking lost. Why am I getting 3 cubes here? What is causing this? What is going on? What have I done? Mission. Okay. Gotcha. None of it made sense. Events, missions, and terms can be placed in areas that are full. Remove the others as necessary. That is a big deal. Okay. So, I can make my choices of what to remove. Now, there's more areas open here, but I think I'd rather be close to myself. So I'll put these here, and I'm looking at getting Magdeburg for the Poles. That's pretty cool. Now this is not my action or anything. This was just, hey, I've got this mission that I succeeded in and didn't notice. My action was going to be to try to take Genoa. But before I do that, I need to create an alliance. Forging an alliance costs 1 to 3, half tax income, that's good. Requires 2 cubes in the target area, that's good. I spend a diplomatic cube to forge an alliance with Magdeburg. And that'll be my action. And that is the end of this time around. Do I do another time around, or do I load this up because I know it's already gotten fucking bullshit long? I do at least one more time around. And now the magic is, can I remember what the fuck I'm doing? Because everything's like, you know, it really is like a super heavy Euro in this sort of sense. It's very hard to tell where you are and what you're doing at any given time in between. And CDGs have this to some extent as well. Let's look at the pulsed games of the 80s, things like Civil War, some of the victory games won, Civil War over there, Korean War, Vietnam. I found it very easy to stop at locations in there. Vietnam was more troublesome. But you could stop in the middle of turns. Civil War especially, but I played so much of that, and it's a fairly simple game. But you tend to be following a certain pattern whenever you approach the board for a new time. Even in Vietnam, where there's so many different, kinds of things that you can do, you don't have to reevaluate your entire plan for the turn or game every time that you get an action. And that's what is very Euro-ish about this, right? Is I'm not just, well, where do I want to conduct an offensive next? Where do I want to do a search and destroy? What things am I doing? Most of those earlier games still felt like you were making, decisions that are of the same kind as the decision you made last time you were at the board. You're always using that same thinking process. Here, it feels like I have to evaluate that, those, this, everything, all at once, every single time I fucking look at the board. Now, that was actually, Vietnam has a similar problem. I'm making the same kind of choices, but I do have to evaluate across the entire board what I know and what I don't. And, what things were exposed to me earlier and whatnot. Some of that has to do with hidden pieces is part of the problem there. Anyway, I'm done. Gonna play some Raid, burn my brain out on that. Not much later, and here I am at the Turks. I had to go all the way around. Maybe I have some vague memories of what Austria and Poland did. Went downstairs, spent a half hour, 40 minutes, clipping some counters, watching some news, whatever. And now I have no idea what they were doing. Now, all I can say is they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. They have 5 cubes, one of which is in the wrong place. I'm gonna do a reorg unless there's a military cube available for me. Oh, there's one on the silent session. Do I want to just play that, grab the cube? I chose against it last time, but doing a reorg seems shitty. What can I do with a diplomacy cube? I could invest money and start setting myself up for the subjugation cards that I have that I'm not going to get to use. I could do a trade operation, or I could pass early and get some extra cash that way. I guess I'll fire this off. Look at it, and look at absolute monarchy. I'm pretty sure I fucked up. The instant effects are lose a stability. I think I probably did that. Gain 2 cubes, but then pick any display card from the discards. I think I forgot to do that. But anyway, we'll ignore that because that was some time ago that the Austrian, that was back under Cromwell. We're going to take Intimidate the slot shoe so that we don't have to reorganize. Poland may pay 3 admin to research absolute monarchy. Might as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with my admin cubes. I could have increased stability with them, but instead we'll lose stability. Okay, so we gain a stability each time we enforce a peace on an opponent, and during phase 4, if we have positive stability, we gain something. So we get 2 victory points. And who had it already? Spain had it already. They get 1. That happens anyway. Add 3 unrest to the Poles. The Poles did not want this, but if I'm going to have it happen to me, I might as well. Add 3 unrest to Polish towns and 5 military to 1 affected area. This will be the player who gets to choose this is Turkey, and Turkey gains a military cube. I also get my event fired off. I didn't want to do this because I'm assuming there's a Turkish event. I don't remember, was there one in the last? Well, no, we wouldn't know. Actually, we would, but there's generally a national event for each player in each deck. But the Turkish event could be in this 4 cards or these 7. No, this is the second deck. So it either already happened or it's in those 4 cards, and I don't remember. I really don't. Okay, which is fine. So now I add 3 unrest to Polish and 5 military to one area. The unrest to the Poles, well, I'd rather hit their big towns. So we'll hit this. 1, 2. I got one more. I want to take that because the Poles actually have artillery. They could siege that fairly easily. I'd rather make, well, not siege. Yeah, they just need cubes. Oh, but a military that comes out of that could be problematic. Of course, it would be 2 military. Yeah, that sounds troublesome to them. Let's give them some Bohemian trouble. Now, we could actually just launch those 5 military in Bohemia. Does that make more sense, or does it make more sense to put them in the midst of Poland? No matter where I put it, the Poles have a military cube. They could go in and negate whatever it is. I'm going to attack their standing army because it's just an artillery, which is worth picking on. Now, the Poles don't have a leader in play right now. They could get one. I mean, my chances of succeeding here are basically nothing. So I don't want to spend on an army. It'll shift over. I won't lose the leader. I also would have to spend my military cube, which I do not want to do. Okay. There's a possibility of a leader for the rebellion, though. There is none. We look at the military stuff. Poland has cannons, nothing else. We need the dice over here. And so the rebels are the attackers, so I'll roll them first. They get a total of 1 hit on the Poles. That's enough. And the Poles come back. What do they have again? They have cannons. And they do not hit at all. So the Polish army is destroyed. And a big force is here in Bohemia. Now that force is not really too much of a threat. It will siege that if Poland doesn't do something about it, and Poland pretty much can't. They could raise another army, right? They got the money. They could raise an army and try to fight that. Then they'd still have a couple unrest here, which is problematic, and a couple elsewhere. They've really gotten their asses handed to them. Oh, where's the card? We already gave Turkey the marker. Poland definitely wants the king, so they'll take that. Getting rid of the interregnum so that they can go to war now. Yeah. Okay. Move to France, and that is going to be problematic, honestly. Let's put the money out and pull another card. The Enlightenment. Before this revolutionary technology comes out. Draw idea cards to create or complete a new row on the display of ideas. You may replace any unpicked ideas on the display with an idea of matching type of your choice. From the deck, all players must then choose embrace the research, embrace it, research an idea for free, gain an admin and lose stability, which could cost you 2 counters, or trust the old ways and gain a stability. And a lot of chaos here. Native uprisings, that's going to be the Persians and the Danes operate. A cardinal dies. The Default choice will be the Austrian one, I think. And then squares die. This is interesting. Other than the row of nastiness, no one gains anything particularly by picking this. But someone with the stability to absorb the loss might have an advantage over everyone else, but I think everyone is at -3 stability. No, Spain's at -2, but it may not stay that way. Rather than losing cubes. Of course, regaining your stability from -3 still costs you 2 cubes. So the cost of each stability level, like the penalty for losing stability when you're at -3, is approximately the same cost as what you'd have to pay to get that stability up from -3 to -2. That puts us to France, and I've been having some trouble with France. I started thinking about them and then realized, wait, I didn't do this. So I've been having fantasies about going to war with Spain. Spain has an army and money, and I don't. Spain has more cubes. It sounds like a bad idea, but I have the spy network. I could blast the shit out of the Spanish. I have missionaries. I'd rather keep them as a defensive option in case I need it. I have central authority. Neither of these can I use. I have no admin cubes. Okay, that's fine. My cards, I have study technology. That could cost me my diplomacy. Now I could do exploration. That could cost me diplomacy. It only cost me 1, but that 1 would have to be a military if I were to do this. Now, a military is, I could do military drill. That gets me a loan. That's not good. And that's it. That's the only thing that I could steal from anyone. I have another one of those, so, you know, I'm interested in things like colonization policy, maybe absolute monarchy. What I'd really like is tolerance, but no one can get that. And we're running out of space here for these guys. I'm going to have to shift cards and stuff to find space for another row when the alignment happens. Yeah, but it does bring more technologies into play, at least, which was something I definitely had to worry about. That 9x9 or 3x3 or whatever, 4x4, I don't know, was going to stay. I think it was 3x3, and it moved to a 4x4 through a previous one, and now it's going to go to, I guess, a 5x5 with 1 extra. I can shift 1 card over. Yeah. All right. So what the hell do I do? My country's in good enough shape. I don't have a revolution going on, really. I think Protestantism can convert these areas. I could fuck with the Spaniards that way. But no, I can't. I don't have the admin cards. I'm just really kind of lost as to what to do. Let me turn off the camera and think some more. I really don't know what to do with this. I mean, this looks like, hey, go exploring, right? How does go exploring work for me? Do I care? Well, I do. I want the Guinean coast. Okay. I just don't think this is plausible. I really don't. So I have a 2 movement. Let's put an extra guy here and make another roll on the exploration die. We really need a 2. We get a 1. which gives us a claim somewhere else in one of the located territories. Now, what located territories do we have? Mali, Gold Coast, and Benin. Mali, okay. I think so. I think that's what we do. We're going to probably be doing a naval move and making an invasion. Honestly, finding these should not, as per the rules, finding those should not add cubes. If something was going to add cubes, you know what it should be? It should be having colonies established. That is what would draw more colonists. It wasn't the case universally, but certainly for the English and the American colonies, those, as they grew into larger colonies, expanded and, westward. And long before, the American Revolution, there was already pressure to expand those colonies and go further. It was not really a case that everything had to come from the home country. And it wasn't a case that everything, but it's enough if you get an exploration, into an adjacent location. So that can kind of generate it, as long as the country is putting some effort towards it. So what I was going to say is, to some extent, that gets negated if you look especially at France's colonial policy. Establishing colonies didn't necessarily create more colonists. But that was mainly because they required only Catholics to settle in the colonies. They refused to allow Protestants, who most wanted to leave France. Now, of course, there's a problem with having religious dissenters be your colonizers, because they're inherently not tied to your society in the same way. Spain has to do these one at a time, so I'll spend one of these off, and I will convert this. I'm going to flip it over again to Orthodox to indicate counter-reformed. I really should get some other counter for counter-reform. I don't know that I have something, though. And these are so clearly not Orthodox. Well, just to avoid any problem, we'll put that there. That's in some danger of turning Protestant now. Had to use missionary for that. I'm going to have to shift 2 more over to convert these 2. But I'm 1 short. Fuck. Because I need to convert this. Okay, screw that. We do not do this. This goes here, this goes here. We can't do that. This is the one we need to do. And I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do one of my own. Although, so the danger of doing my own is that I'll forget to do this. But anyway. I can't afford to do that. I don't have enough cubes, but I can't afford to wipe out the revolutionary ideals over here. And is not at all happy with France being here, but I can't colonize that. Yuck, 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 yuck. The only place I can colonize, and the only place I should be getting cubes for, is here. But again, I'm cheating because I had been. What the fuck am I doing with the English? I mean, seriously. This is cheaper exploration. That's very valuable, actually. What is this other thing? Colonization policy, cheaper colonization. Spain's not bothering. They have nothing to colonize. They have a cube, but... And I don't know, they should probably be getting a cube every turn for this. Again, I don't know how... once you start cheating, how do you tinker with it? What do you do that's fair? I don't fucking know what to do with the Brits. I really don't. What was my idea? My idea, I know that I had an idea of dealing with this, but I decided I can't do that. So, I have alliance. I have cubes. Do I want to just subjugate something? Was that the plan? Sorry, it was to go after Portugal. Yeah. Okay. Let's put cubes in Portugal. There's one. What do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know the rules though. I need to look up whether territories are involved in this whole thing. Okay, and something I forgot. This would have made a big difference in a number of places. I think. I'm not sure. Certainly up there, right? I don't know. You can annex a one-tax income ally without vassalizing it first. Is that on the fucking card? Probably not. Probably not. Annex your vassal or one-tax ally. Yeah, it is. It's just... it's not there. I think, from what I've been looking at of it, and I only looked very briefly, the subjugate action doesn't mention anything about overseas areas. It just talks about provinces, and those are provinces as well as everything else, I think. I don't fucking know. How do I find out? They're distant provinces, I think. I gotta look at the stupid... So, instead of... oh no, there's definitions here, right? Okay, province. God, I want to take a dump now. So fucking frustrated. Province. These provinces are one of the main sources of income for manpower. Oh, thanks. Thanks. See 8 and 9 on page 4. 8 and 9 are small and large provinces. Fuck. Distant provinces. Okay. So I'm going to say that they're provinces. I guess. I don't know. What does that mean? What am I doing? How did I get here? Okay, so I'm paying 1 cube. Now I got to pay the rest in cash. It was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Yep. Cubes are too valuable to hold to do, so I'm going to spend 18 bucks. A lot of money for a country that doesn't have much. And I am going to put 7 cubes. Do I have... oh, I might have the advantage. I don't know where it is. Somewhere here, there was something. The diplomats. Yeah. I certainly don't have the cubes to do that. So here's 3. Six cubes. Let's put 2 cubes there. Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to be allied to them? There's more Spanish cubes there. I don't know. I don't fucking know anything anymore. I'm not sure I'm allowed to put cubes on the external map. I assume so, but I'll put them there. That gives me enough. I guess I'm done. And I'm kind of like, I'm sick and tired of looking up rules. How fucking long do I have to play this game before they sink in? They never will. They never will. Because it's a massive fucking euro when it comes down to it. Yes, it still tells a story. It still links to some history with some hand-waving and accepting that the armies aren't doing what the armies actually were doing. You know, they're like fighting wars across the whole continent in one space maybe or whatever. There is a lot of stuff that fits into the historical aspects of it. But it also just happens to be, in terms of the thought processes and how you approach it and how you play the game, a massive fucking Euro. I have this same problem, you know, with something like Cataclysm, right? Where I'm just like, wow, I'm doing shit that like, and even with Axis Empires, where I feel like I'm doing shit that like, it doesn't feel like I'm playing a war game type thing, right? This does not feel like I'm playing a war game at large portions of it. And when it does feel like it, then things sort of grind together and I'm like, oh, that's just so wrong. Something so miserably out of reality. And what that means is you can't rely on your intuition and your knowledge of how things actually happened to direct your strategy in the game. You're playing a fucking Euro, and things like, you know, things like reason and stuff don't apply. You know, you're reasoning over a manifold that's totally different from that of reality. By the way, time I get around to Austria, I certainly don't remember what the fuck they were up to. Good God. I have no fucking clue. I have a central authority, which could be very useful. I have defend the empire. Was I doing this? No. I think I was doing Adriatic ports, but I can't because of what? I don't have a subjugate, so I can't take over the papacy. I don't have the ability to declare war on the papacy without issues. There is an alliance. Do I just want to fucking go to war with Spain? I don't fucking know what I'm doing. I don't remember. What did I do? I didn't fire off an event. Maybe I cured unrest. That's what it looks like, which means no war. I don't have the cubes for it, and I don't have the money or anything else. Well, fuck me. I can get rid of a debt. That might be my best move, right? I know that I got Maria Teresa. I think that I got something. I don't think it's Maria Teresa. I think that I got something which generated, which was my national event already played. We could look here and maybe see. Not seeing it there. Okay, I don't see an Austrian event there. Is Maria Teresa a 4 or a 3? She's a 4. So she came out already. I didn't even know she was queer. I think I'm safe taking the bubble, so I'm going to do it. Because nobody else seems willing to. All right. And I'm going to force France to issue paper money. They have to pay denarii equal to ducats, I don't know. Whatever, money, dollars, medieval bucks. France must pay D equal to half their tax income. And then all players adjacent to France may remove a thing. Now, half my income is 29.30. I don't know, again, if revolting provinces would count against it. They owe 15 bucks. Okay. Luckily for me, I had a good year and have the money for it. All PRs adjacent can remove one. England gets to remove one, and Austria gets to remove one. Is Austria actually adjacent? It's hard to tell because the provinces. So there's a province here that contains a French area and a province here that contains an Austrian area. So yeah, both England and Austria get to remove a tax, a debt burden, which is a fantastic thing and pretty much the reason we did this. along with the couple bucks that were on it. And France has the option to bring Louis XV in place of Robert. Now, Louis XV would die more recently, or very soon. There's a circle there. I don't see any reason to take him. And that means we draw another card. Corruption in the colonies. We peeked at this, no? All players with distant must pick. Reform colonial rule. Discard any one of your advisors. Okay. Either add unrest to half your distant lands or pay 3 admin and add unrest to only one of them. That doesn't sound good. Don't want to pick that, right? Look the other way. Lose 2 prestige. Add unrest to one of your distant towns and pay money equal to twice the tax value of all your distant towns. Well, it's not good to be a colonist at this point. That's good to know. And that was the Austrian action. That's going to bring us over to Poland. And then soon I get to take my shit. I don't know what Poland's doing, unless they want to fire off one of these. Disputed succession, not very interesting. The Enlightenment, not very interesting. I could gain a cube, but I'd lose the stability. That would hurt me more. So yeah, we know what Poland's doing. They're declaring war on Genoa because we can get this war over for free. Okay, and then we move our army, 1, 2. The Crimeans ignore the fact that a Polish army walks through it. You could make arguments for why they would. There were relationships between the two nations, but they're not represented in the game. Well, fuck me. We have no claim there. Shit. All right, what happens if we declare war without a claim? Because if it's just stability, screw it. We have no cubes to lose. Right? It's lose 2 stability if you have no casus belli, 1 for each. Yeah, fine. I lose 2 stability. I'm happy. I got nothing I can lose. Perfect. Okay. So now we're at war, and we get to fight a battle. Yeah, I forgot I didn't have a claim. No biggie. Worked out just peachy. I might as well put Augustus on the field. Nah, screw it. Don't want to risk him. I get the hit that I need. Poland has nothing really. So it's all 3 dice. Poland loses nothing. It's a successful battle. So I get my cube back. And we're here. Damned if I'm ever going to remember. This is going to confuse the shit out of me if I'm gone for long, because the war is over here, not over there. But, well, hopefully I'll remember. Okay, this one actually has to go up. It feels like the turn's about over, and we've gone around, what, twice? You know, and it's because there's no fat left on these countries. They burned it all either through war or even more painfully through some of the events from the last time. And that means nothing happens, right? Great. And a whole lot of nothing's happened throughout the game. Now, I do have to say this. The original EU, I feel like I got less wars than I should have anyway, but not to the degree that this does. And the first time I played, I got less colonization than I should have. Maybe that'll get fixed if I play this again, if I manage to play this again, and you know can manage my cubes a little better early in the game, and understand that, yeah, you know, a little bit of debt is better. The designer tried to point this out to me actually, but it was, you know, it was too late, and I'm stubborn. But it was too late at the beginning. But a little bit of debt is better than not being able to do shit. And debt doesn't really fit into the old EU. It's covered. You know, it's not that countries couldn't go into debt or whatever, but it's sort of covered by the inflation rules and whatnot. So debt is included in your capacity to raise money as the country, is basically what it's used as. And if you end up spending all your money on military actions, you're not going to produce money later on. You're not going to have investments. It's missing an important component, right? Well, no, wait, there are loans in that game. Never mind, I'm lying. There are loans. Fuck me. Anyway, this one's going up, and I am getting so frustrated and tired of life.